Okay, guys. Okay, we're live on all of them. Give me 1 second. We're going over a video that Daniel Adams put out yesterday to show you the vulgarity of this animal that he is. And we're going to get down to the truth finally. We're going to get down to the truth. Because if you have eyes to see, you can see right through Daniel Adams and the people that he runs with. Okay. Well, the first thing we're going to look at is the video that he put out yesterday. First, we're going to look at the post that he put out. He's talking about if people want to be wise people, they should learn to listen as well as speak. He actually was speaking to himself. He should learn to shut his mouth, because the problem with Daniel Adams is he thinks he's wise, but he doesn't have two brain cells to rub together. He has no compassion. He has no empathy. He's not even a human being. That's the problem here. And you're going to see that in a minute. I'm not just speaking to speak against him. You have to understand, when anyone speaks to expose another human being, we can't expose people on the internet because we don't personally know them. The only thing that we can say is exactly what they have said to the public. So we're just repeating their own words. This is what it is. But they want to pretend that they're victims of something, that people on the outside are just going after them for no reason, that they're truly men of God. Here's the post. You see it's Daniel Adams, 19 hours ago. Here's what it says. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 18:2 that a fool takes no delight in understanding, but only expresses his own heart. So the Bible in Proverbs has just described Daniel Adams. He is a fool. Today we have many who get to express themselves through things like social media, but never choose to gain wisdom and understanding, which is exactly who this dude is. When you choose to be the only voice of reason, you shut yourself off to receiving wisdom and in turn growing. He should absolutely take his own advice and shut his mouth and listen to wisdom. This also means you shut off the ability to hear from the Holy Spirit, of course, because he has never heard from the Holy Spirit. He's operating in demonic powers. I've been out here saying this for a very long time now. God resists the proud. Hello. God resists the proud and exalts the humble. Don't forget that. If you agree to be one that receives wisdom and not only expresses what they think, type I receive. This guy is vomit producing. I literally get a somatic reaction when I hear this idiot talk, which is why I have unsubscribed to him. I unsubscribed to him and Lovey about a year ago because I cannot stomach to listen to them twist the gospel and use demonic powers on innocent Christians out here. This guy is a fool's fool. He doesn't have two brain cells to rub together. And another thing that I said to this guy was that he was a misogynist. He hates women. He has mommy issues. He hates women. He has no respect for women. And you will see that in this video. I can't believe what this guy said. Actually, I can believe. I can't believe his arrogance. That's really what I can't believe. Update on TB Joshua BBC documentary. This is what Daniel put out yesterday. Why anyone is out here listening to this dude, it's only because they have not read the Bible.
Listen, as much as people want to hate, like one of the things that was said in the documentary was this, right? One of the things that were said is that all of TB Joshua's miracles were staged and fake, and they tried to make it look that way, which I said this in the last video, is absolutely insane. So you're going to tell me in large stadiums with hundreds of thousands of people.
This is important. Remember this.
Hundreds of thousands of people. You're going to tell me that these miracles were staged and fake and they actually didn't happen.
That right there is very important. Make sure you keep that in mind. Talking about the miracles in large stadiums in foreign countries that TB Joshua did, that you're going to say that all the miracles there were staged. Let's go right to the beginning of this video.
What's going on, everybody? So I wanted to come on here and give a quick update to this whole controversy thing. Now, I know some people, they may ask, Daniel, why do you seem so, invested in this topic and stuff like that? Well, I have a few reasons. One is I was early on definitely influenced by the faith of Prophet TB Joshua. I have also met some people that were definitely trained by him and equipped by him, and I knew their character and the integrity they carried and stuff like that. So when this news broke on the BBC, it was really surprising to me.
I want to explain something to you about human nature. Daniel Adams has no conscience and he has no empathy. When he perceives the world, he perceives the outer world as he perceives his inner world. The guy has no self-esteem and he actually hates himself. So he has a very negative outlook towards life. And as I said, he is a misogynist. He hates women. He has mommy issues. So when you hear him tell you something about anybody's character, you have to understand that it's coming from a skewed place. It's coming from a dark place. And nothing that this guy says is truthful. You have to know that up front. Birds of a feather flock together. Anyone who truly comes from the light, you're hearing me tell you that I get a somatic reaction. I get a physical response. My stomach turns. I feel nauseous when I hear this guy talk. People who come from the light cannot stand to be around darkness. Anyone that this guy associates with is also coming from the darkness because of this principle, and this principle comes straight out of the Bible. Light has no business with darkness. Good has no business with evil. They cannot coexist. So whoever is hanging out with this guy, whoever this guy hung out with, they also came from darkness.
And I was like, okay, if this is true, then this is a big deal. And like, we really got to handle it appropriately in the church. I'll say this. One of the things I don't like in any situation this matter is the way a lot of us in the church react. A lot of people seem to get gratification on the failure of others, or when somebody goes through some tough things or some rough things, people just find joy in it for some reason. And that's just how the world goes.
It's not a matter of people finding joy at the failure of others. It's a matter of protecting the innocent. It's a matter of supporting those that these wolves have hurt. What this guy, Daniel Adams, is saying is that he wants that the church should protect the fallen pastors who are out here grooming and raping innocent Christians. Daniel Adams wants the church to support and protect these people. Absolutely not. The Apostle Paul says, throw them to the devil and maybe their souls can be saved in the end. remove them from the church. This guy is speaking exactly opposite to what we've been commanded to do by the Lord and by his apostles. This guy is a wolf. He should be marked and avoided.
We can see that with anything. We can see that with the secular world. We can see that with drama, shows in general. You know, people just really, really love that stuff. But some of you know I did a video the other day. I expressed my thoughts on that. I didn't come to a firm stand on anything because I wanted to give some time for the other side to come out and speak. Well, now,
if you know in your heart that a person is innocent, why do you need to have time for the other side to speak? If you know in your heart that a person is innocent, and this is what's standing out to me with Vlad Savchuk and Rickard. Now, these guys, Vlad Savchuk and Rickard, they had no hesitation on posting TB Joshua's videos on their sites and saying that they studied with TB Joshua when TB Joshua was the man of God and he was being acclaimed as having all of these spiritual powers and being a true prophet. They had no hesitation on cashing in on that God-man status because they trained with him. Now that all the truth has come out, Vlad Savchuk and Rickard, their silence is deafening. Their silence is deafening. If you, especially Rickard, who lived at Scoan Church for 9 years, if you know that TB Joshua was innocent, he should have been out here screaming from the rooftops that his teacher, his master, his leader was innocent. He had never witnessed anything like that in Scoan Church. The fact that Rickard has not spoken out is proof to me beyond a reasonable doubt that everything these girls said in this documentary was absolutely the truth. When a person knows that something is the truth, they have no hesitation to stand up for the truth. I want you all to really understand this. And if Daniel Adams believed that TB Joshua was being falsely accused, why did he have to wait for the other side to come out? This guy is a wolf. You can't believe anything he says.
You know, the wise men have spoke up, the disciples have spoke up, and they've given some of what they would call facts. And I actually believe them just because, Wise Man Harry actually have met him and known him.
He just said Wise Man Harry. Now, it was through this video and Daniel Adams saying the name Wise Man Harry, because I never heard of this guy, Wise Man Harry. As I told you, I was not a cult follower of TB Joshua. I only used to watch his deliverance videos so that I could do self-deliverance. I never knew anything about this guy, Wise Man Harry. I did know about who is called Brother Chris. I actually used to recommend that people watch Brother Chris's videos also for self-deliverance. I will not recommend Brother Chris any longer. Brother Chris also came out with a video also saying that he was with TB Joshua for many years. I believe it was 17 years. And he had never experienced anything like the people in that documentary said they experienced. Well, here's the thing. Let's not get tricked by a play on words. So Brother Chris never experienced being raped. Well, yippee, good for him. He had to have known that people were being raped and TB Joshua was having sex with people in that place. He had to have known the culture in that place if he was there for 17 years. Let me tell you something. I've heard rumors just on the internet because I have never met TB Joshua in person. I've never been out of the United States. I've heard rumors myself for the past 2 years that TB Joshua was having sex with his disciples. Everyone has heard these rumors. So the people in this documentary are not the first people to say this, although they are being thrown under the bus to be looked at as if they're liars. And let's finish hearing what Daniel Adams says about these people.
For a little while now, and I've seen his people that he's discipling and stuff. So when he says something, I take some weight with what he's saying. So some of the things that stood out to me is the woman that claims to be TB Joshua's daughter in the documentary is not his real daughter at all. It's actually his adopted daughter. But BBC will paint that to look like that is his real daughter. So he has much of the church world.
When you adopt a child, that child becomes your daughter. What else do they want to do to this poor girl? Now, no one has seen DNA results to say whether this was a child that TB Joshua had with a woman out of wedlock, because I believe that's what the documentary said, that he had this child with a woman out of wedlock, which makes perfect sense looking at his track record and how he rapes people. And it would also make sense on why the girl was put at Scoan Church, that the mother obviously didn't want the child. So she gave the child to TB Joshua because the child was his. Now, I can't say that for sure. I haven't seen DNA test results. If in fact this story was correct, and Daniel Adams is getting his information from this guy that he mentioned, WISEMAN Harry. I have went and watched the remarks of WISEMAN Harry at Daniel Adams' suggestion, and I have his video in the description. You will hear the vulgarity that comes out of that guy's mouth. He's a charlatan. But Daniel Adams is vouching for WISEMAN Harry as being a godly man and a truthful man. He's a liar and a charlatan. Now, what this guy, WISEMAN Harry, said is that this young lady was found underneath a truck in front of Scoan Church. And out of the goodness of his heart, Prophet TB Joshua took her in. And instead of throwing her in an orphanage, he decided to adopt her. As she started growing up in her teenage years, she started becoming rebellious and she wanted to leave Scoan Church. So what Prophet TB Joshua said he removed his name from her passport. He removed his name from his passport. So in other words, he unadopted her and he let her go. She was never held in a cage like an animal, like she said. She was never beaten and done all these horrible things to. This comes from this WISEMAN Harry. And he is an outright liar. How much more do they want to put on this poor girl? These people are vulgar. Daniel Adams, I want you to understand, remember in the beginning when Daniel Adams started hanging around Lovey, I used to come out here and just make fun of him. Daniel Adams tried to be Lovey, even down to his mannerisms. Daniel Adams tried to be Lovey. Everything you're hearing in this video that Daniel Adams put out, he heard on the video from WISEMAN Harry. He heard on the video from WISEMAN Harry, and he's repeating it. Even the part when he says, could it be that TB Joshua was in huge stadiums in foreign countries? Could it be that all of those healings and miracles were faked? WISEMAN Harry said that in his video, and there's Daniel Adams just repeating it.
They have much of the church world believing a lie off top that woman is his daughter, when in fact, from listening to the testimony of the disciples of TB Joshua, right, which are disciples of Jesus Christ, is she was left under.
The disciples of TB Joshua are cult followers. They are indoctrinated. They will protect TB Joshua at all costs. They are cult followers. They're not men of God.
beside a car tire or something of that nature, and he adopted her and took her in, and over time she became rebellious. And there's some other things about her that I'm not gonna mention on here. You guys can do your homework and find out, because I don't want to down talk anybody. Also, some of
He
the
doesn't want to
stories
down
that
talk
were
anybody.
released about these other people that were actually in the video, you find out that all of these people are very disgruntled, or they have serious issues in general in their past, meaning that these people are all carrying the same problem. They're all carrying the same issue. Okay. So do your homework and you can see that there's something bigger at play here. Obviously there's an agenda, I believe.
There is something bigger at play, and there is an agenda. TB Joshua was a cult leader. And now these people that came out and told the truth, they're being brutally attacked. They're being brutally assaulted. This is what happens. This is what I was telling you the other night. And the fact of the matter was, I had never heard of this wise man, Harry. I had nowhere to go and look because I don't troll the internet. I have no interest in being on the internet. It is the devil's playground. I only watch the videos of the people I'm subscribed to. So I did not go looking for disciples of TB Joshua to see what they were saying, because I didn't know who they were. Daniel Adams led me to this wise man, Harry, and he is a brutal liar. He is a cult follower. The first person that wise man Harry attacked was that girl who was gay. He actually called her a failure as a Christian. So because she was a failure as a Christian, she's going to make up these false allegations against TB Joshua. He goes on to talk about every single person in the documentary and tear them to shreds, tear their character to shreds. This is what I told you that cults do. They will assassinate the character of anyone that speaks out against them. And I actually congratulated Scoan Church that they hadn't done that. That the only thing that I was seeing was that some of the people on the pages that I had been subscribed to, they were only coming out and telling their positive experiences with TB Joshua, but they did not tear down the victims. And I congratulated them and I said it was brilliant. But here we go. Wise man Harry, who was a close disciple of TB Joshua, he is out here assassinating the character of every single solitary person in that documentary, including the child of TB Joshua, who was isolated and kept in a prison atmosphere and beaten mercilessly. They're still attacking this girl. They are still attacking this girl. This guy, wise man Harry, also said that that they were not really crying, that people felt bad for them because they said that the tears were real and they were genuinely crying and showing emotion. He said they were not really crying. The BBC gave them drops to put in their eyes. He said when people cry, the tears come from one side or the inside, but these people's tears were coming straight down the middle. So that proved that they had drops put in their eyes and their tears were fake. They were all faking because none of what they said was true. Wise man Harry also said that TB Joshua had a very small apartment. It wasn't what they said on the BBC documentary that he had plush carpet. He had big drapes in there. He said TB Joshua was a very humble man. He lived very simply. That his wife did live on the floor below them. He lived on the 5th floor. And he always had male disciples around him. And never would a female disciple ever be allowed to see Prophet TB Joshua alone. He always had male disciples around him. And if ever a female would ever go up in his apartment, then he would have went down and told everybody that TB Joshua was alone with females. He's an outright liar. The BBC documentary showed the two guys, they said, even when TB Joshua went to the restroom, he only pulled his pants and his undergarments down to his knees. They wouldn't even let him pull his pants down to his ankles. They did that from the knees to the ankles. They pulled his pants down. And they were always with him. What these people are called armor bearers, and they stay around the prophet or the apostles. Another person who said he has armor bearers was Alexander Pagani. He has little slaves around him who want to do everything for him. They're called armor bearers. And so TB Joshua did have these armor bearers, and they were talked about in the documentary. But what the armor bearers were saying, his armor bearers were actually a couple of the people speaking out. And what they said was TB Joshua locked their bedroom door from the outside, and they were looking underneath the door, and they saw female feet in there. Here's the other thing that you all have to understand. This is what happens in cults. The cult leader has to be in control at all times. And how are the people groomed that are in that cult? They are groomed to not trust each other. They are groomed that they are to be watching everybody around them. And if they see or hear anything that is spoken against the cult leader, they are to report it immediately. So for this guy, Wise Harry, to say that if he would have ever saw a woman all alone in TB Joshua's apartment, that he would have ran down and told everybody, he would have ran down and told all the disciples, he's an outright liar. As a matter of fact, the young girl that was 17 years old that was raped and he took her virginity, she said she went down and she just meekly asked another one of the disciples there, is he behaving badly with you? She went and reported it to somebody else, and that's when they had a disciple meeting and she was beaten. The way that it was portrayed in the documentary, if a person speaks out about what is happening in that place, it is reported to the heads up immediately, and that person is beaten into submission so that it never happens again. The BBC documentary reported this fact of a cult accurately. So this guy, Wise Harry, he's an absolute cult leader and cult follower, and he's lying. He's lying through his teeth. He has assassinated the character of every single one of those people that spoke out, calling even their tears fake. And Daniel Adams is supporting the abusers. Daniel Adams actually said that he believes that those women and even the men that spoke out, that they got paid for what they said. Every single person out here, you need to run from the hills and get away from Daniel Adams. You need to run for the hills. I have also got a video by the guy that exposed Celestial, the false prophet. His name is Drew Bloom 34. He puts out on Fridays, he puts out videos, a compilation of videos exposing false teachers. The video he put out yesterday exposed Daniel Adams. Friday Fruit Clips number 39. I have that in the description. He is exposing Daniel Adams and how false he is. That also is in the description. So I have Daniel's video. I have Wise Harry's video. I have Brother Chris's video in there. I have the Friday Fruit Clips. And I looked up because in that video, Wise Harry said that he was arrested in Greece for casting out demons, for healing the sick, just like Daniel Adams. And this is where Daniel got it from, was Wise Harry saying that the charismatic movement is under attack. Well, it's not under attack. Wise Harry said he was arrested in Greece last year for holding a service, and because God was preached so powerfully and demons were exorcised and people were healed, that he was arrested, and the police have warned him not to preach. Well, the truth of the matter is he was arrested because he was holding a church service without a permit. That is the reason why the guy was arrested. He's back out there preaching right now. He has not been arrested again. He was arrested because he was operating church without a permit. This is how this guy twists the truth. And even in this video where he's bashing on all of these victims, he talks about that he was arrested. He shows pictures of him with handcuffs on him with the cop. They had handcuffs together. He showed pictures of that to say that he was being persecuted just like Jesus Christ because he was powerfully preaching the gospel. And he's saying this is what the BBC is doing to TB Joshua. They're persecuting him because he's a charismatic leader. This is the same garbage that Daniel Adams is spewing. Daniel Adams is an empty shell. He has no theology of his own. He flip-flops to whoever he's following at the moment. So Wise Harry did not get arrested for holding a charismatic service. He got arrested because he was operating a service without a permit. That's the truth of the matter. And I forgot to put that article in the description. As soon as I'm done with this video, I will make sure to add that article in the description. I also went and looked up because he's operating a Scoan Thessalonica in Greece. I had no clue. What is the religion of Greece? Well, 90% of Greece is Christian orthodoxy. They believe in one God, that Jesus Christ died for the salvation of all sin, and that he rose on the third day. They believe in the Trinity. So this guy is not being persecuted. He's an outright liar. He's a cult leader and a cult follower. And Daniel Adams is exactly of the same character. They have all assassinated the character of all of these victims. And every single person out here needs to be warned about these people. I'm going to leave this here. Every single thing I spoke about is in the description. You all need to watch it for yourself. You guys have a blessed day.